Thank you. Well, I once went into a car showroom to ask for directions. I ended up buying a brand new car. So selling must be really easy. Either that or I'm really gullible. So how many people here absolutely love selling? But not everybody, some do. Unfortunately, we have to sell to get more business because we all need more customers. And there's still a perception that selling is a bit like Harry Wormwood here. Sometimes it's what other people think and sometimes what we think. But it doesn't have to be like that. Think about Amazon. Amazon, you probably all bought from Amazon. Amazon doesn't have any salespeople. Amazon sells through marketing. So the actual sales transaction is just a transaction. Amazon actually help you to buy. So I'm going to show you how you can help people to buy, which is much easier than actually selling. Now, people buy in a particular way, and we all know how people buy because we buy things ourselves every day. But also, we don't buy all the time. We only buy when we want to. And statistically, only 10% of people in a market are actively buying, 90% aren't. So we need to understand how people buy. And that's with something we call a buyer's journey. And I'm going to give you an example of a buyer's journey through me. So I like fishing. That's what I do. That's what I do for fun. So I'm really interested in it. So I would be in a market for people who sell fishing tackle. But I haven't got a need at the moment. I'm not interested in buying something, but I do talk to people. I get a member of a club. I go online. I look at forums. I read stuff. And so when I get around to actually wanting to buy something, I do know quite a lot about the product or the service that I'm buying. So I might then go along and actively start buying. I might go to a tackle shop and I might go online to look at online services and eventually make a choice, buy something, and so happy about it, I tell all my friends down at the club. So that's a buyer's journey. That's what's actually happening. And notice how much I do, or anybody does, before you actually speak to a salesperson. So basically half of the buying process has been done before you start actively engaging with a salesperson or a sales transaction. So what's happening here is we're going through 3 key stages of know, like, and trust. So know is where you're just aware of the product or the service. You don't know very much about it. Like is where you know more about it. You're starting to get interested in it. And so you're very much more aware of what's in it. Trust is where you actually believe the supplier and the product can deliver what's being promised. Because there's always some act of faith, because you don't know. There's always one. You don't know that you're going to get something until afterwards. So the trust is really important, and people don't commit time or money to something that they don't trust. So when we have that buyer's journey in mind, how do we get people to buy something without actively selling? And the mistake a lot of people make is they leap from the first part, know, to trust. Doesn't happen. So we need to have something called helpful marketing rather than hopeful marketing. Now, hopeful marketing is when you do loads of marketing activities like run events and you have email and cold calling, get lots of leads, chuck them at the sales force, and the sales force has to try and convert them. Helpful marketing is where actually you're helping people to buy. And all you're doing is selling one step at a time. So every step that we have in marketing needs to be actively sold. There's no point just doing all these things randomly. We're trying to move people along that buyer's journey. So initially, we need to give people with a call to action at the early stage. So it might be, let's say, for example, an article on LinkedIn or a post on LinkedIn. You want people to move forward and get to know you better. So the call to action there would be, come and find out a bit more about what I'm talking about on our website, on our blog pages. And on our blog pages, there's some more things that you can get access to if you register. If you get some of the content that you register, come along to one of our events. And so you're moving people along deliberately in that know, like, and trust. And you're building up that relationship. And eventually you get to the point where people do want to engage with you. But that's only halfway through because we still have to move people through the entire trust process. And this is where a knowledge of sales comes in, because you can use the same closing techniques on each step as you can in a whole sale. So let's say, for example, we get to a point where somebody does pick the phone up and we have a conversation and we say, well, it's really interesting. We ought to get together and talk about this. That's an assumptive close. And the problem is I've only got one day in the next 2 weeks where I can actually do that. That's a scarcity close. Would morning or afternoon be best for a meeting? alternative close. So you can actually close people step by step in this process. And you're moving people along. And people are getting used to that. So by the time they actually want to buy something, it's really, really easy. So that's the tip for today, is helpful marketing, help people to buy. So if we circle back to that car showroom, in fact I was in that 10%. I was trying to buy a car with my son, and we walked into this car showroom, not the car showroom we wanted to actually buy from, but they happened to be doing a massive destocking exercise. So not virtually giving the cars away, but they were a very, very good deal. And so this is today's Harry Wormwood on the right-hand side there, the salesman. Now, he made it really easy for us to buy. He never did one single thing that was a classic sales tactic. He made it really easy for us to buy, and that's my son Josh picking up his brand new Astra. Thank you.